Hey everyone, it's Michael GoosebumpsFan. I hope you're doing well today. I have another book review for you. This one has been a series that I haven't touched in a while. And this is something I touched a while back, and I did some reviews scattered out through the last 3 years I've been reviewing these books on this channel. And this particular series I like because of the darker tones, and that may or may not become a problem for this particular review. The Goosebumps Series 2000 series, this is book number 7, Revenge Are Us. I love this cover, it's one of my favorites. Every time I look at it, it looks so great. Now mind you, I've never read this book before. Haven't read many Series 2000 books at all. I've read like 12 out of, I think 25 or something. I don't remember how many there are. Series 2000 has a very dark tone typically to the stories, and they're a little bit different. I was very surprised by how odd this one is, how weird this one is. But I liked a majority of it. I don't love it, I do want to say that first and foremost. I saw where my boy Grayson the Goosebumps Kid has a review for this on his channel. I need to watch that. I always wait to watch off the reviews later on that I haven't read a book for yet, before I watch my friends in the community. Catching up still on a lot of stuff like Goosebumps Completionist just bombards reviews out there. He's really on top of that. Austin, which is Monster Blood, if you haven't seen his channel before, really good guy as well. But Grayson especially, I think he's one of the only ones I've seen review this book. Anyway, Revenge Are Us does not have a good reputation, but I do think it's kind of a little bit overhated in a lot of ways. There are worse books out there. There are books that I think are probably quite a bit worse so far from the Series 2000 book series. For example, Return to Ghost Camp is worse. When you look at something like Full Moon Fever, which is arguably the worst of the Series 2000 books, I still don't know yet where I feel about that book, but it's pretty low on my list. I think that's worse than this as well. Revenge Are Us being a title playing on Toys R Us, which I love that. That's fantastic. That's 1990s in all of its glory. And me being a 90s kid, I love that. That's great, in my opinion. Also a Goosebumps fan. So anyway, what is this book about? As the title kind of reports, it's a revenge book, and not like a Kevin Bacon shooting gang members type book. Or if you haven't seen Death Sentence, you probably don't know what that reference is. You should see Death Sentence. Great movie. James Wan, director of Saw and The Conjuring and Fast and Furious 7, or whatever it was called. Great flick. Anyway, so Revenge Are Us. I like revenge tales. I figured this being Goosebumps, it probably wouldn't be that dark. It has some odd, weird setup, which, as I talk about it, I think a lot of us are going to have some red flags kind of pop up about a particular character. So number one, we have our main character, who's a girl named Wade, which is odd. That's not the red flag, though. Wade is just kind of an okay character. You know, I don't really like Wade, I don't really hate Wade or anything like that. However, she has an older brother named Micah, and Micah's probably 16, 17, so about 5 or so years older than her. He drives the family car and that kind of thing, but he's also a scumbag. He's an absolute scumbag. He likes to embarrass his sister Wade, our main character, constantly in front of the public and in front of people, her friends, everybody, including her crush named Steve. At one point, he even reads her diary. I think it's over a pool, like a public pool where there's other people. Reads diary entries of her. She never thought he would find her diary and whatever. Anyway, he embarrasses her tremendously, embarrasses her in front of Steve, and there are other moments that the character recounts that Micah has done these horrible things to her. And one in particular was real weird. It really just felt odd. Just in general, I read this and I had to stop for a second. Basically, at one point, not in the story, but in a reference to a flashback of something happening in the past, Micah ran out in front of her friends 1 or 2 different times with her underwear on his head. That's your sister. That's weird. That's really weird, dude. And that one just kind of started this book off, the first couple of chapters, just in a weird way. Just in a very weird, I kind of felt uncomfortable kind of way. But anyway, as we kept going, the story was mostly about our main character, Wade, finding an advertisement for a thing called Revenge Are Us, which was essentially a lady named Iris who would invite you to her house in the midst of a trailer park, kind of a dangerous area of town, to, I guess, to basically help you with anything you needed. I don't really know how to explain it, but it apparently had to do with revenge, and Iris is the ultimate revenge person. She may or may not have some kind of witchy background, some kind of pagan background. She can like cast spells and stuff. We don't really know how. And then when our main character, Wade, gets there, she meets Iris. Iris is a very oddball goth lady. Black fingernails, black lipstick, all the cool stuff that all of us 90s kids grew up loving on things like Danny Phantom. And yeah, I went there. I went there. I talked about Sam from Danny Phantom. I love Danny Phantom, especially the Christmas special with the rhymes, you know. Anyway, she goes there, and she meets Iris, and Iris happens to have a pet crow named Maggie, and Maggie's kind of a cool little character. I like Maggie. Maggie doesn't talk or anything, I just like Maggie. Apparently, every time you want to grant a wish, which in this case is kind of how Iris goes about casting spells to try to harm Micah in favor of Wade, after Wade decides it's what she wants and who she wants revenge on. Essentially, you just have Iris think of the spell or cast the spell. She strokes the back of Maggie, the bird, like 3 times, and then Wade has to do it 3 times, and then it's supposed to come true and hurt Micah. There's a lot of different ideas that were genuinely kind of horrific. The first one in particular, involving itching, actually made me start to itch as I read this book. As you can tell, kind of with one of those things like be careful what you wish for, which I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of these kinds of morality tales about revenge and how revenge is bad. Okay, whatever. If you feel that way, that's fine. I love R.L. Stine. You're wrong. You're wrong here. Not you who likes R.L. Stine, but Stine and people who try to promote this message of revenge being bad. I don't agree with you. So I'm petty like that, thank you. Especially in this case with Wade and her weird pervert brother. So, a couple of the spells backfire. Again, very much like the be careful what you wish for message. You know, you might wish for things to go a certain way. It's kind of like the Home Alone thing, you know, like Kevin shouldn't wish his family to be gone because it might actually happen. Nice little message, wonderful, sweet for a Christmas movie, for a horror story. What do I expect? I expected with this really wild red and black cover, with the awesome red and black background back here, the creepy looking crow that Tim Jacobus drew here, I expected a really gothic, wicked tale that, from this story involving like these weird gothic places, yes, I consider the kind of trailer park we had here very gothic, but mainly with Iris and the goth nature of her, I wanted something more like that. I expected kind of something more like that, even with the Goosebumps R.L. Stine writing style. I wanted something like that. I didn't get that. I wasn't thrilled as I read this book. I was into it, don't get me wrong. I like the book, but it's really disappointing. It's really, really disappointing, and I hate to say that, because by the end of this book, it was already kind of getting disappointing about halfway through, because I was like, these are like kiddish ways to get revenge on a brother who absolutely torments you, and again, is a creep. What else would you possibly do to this creep, who is your brother? The kind of things that our kid Wade here chooses are just dumb. Just whatever. Wasn't a fan of that part. But even so, I liked a good chunk of the story, maybe about half of it. It's a little bit of a mixed bag, a little bit of a disappointing book. Kind of a filler book, if you will. Kind of like how Be Careful What You Wish For was back in the day. I'm not thrilled with it. I wish it was better, but I didn't hate it. Does that make sense? I don't hate this book at all. It's fine. Again, the darker tone from Series 2000 I find very refreshing. And I feel like this, compared to the last couple of books I reviewed, which were TV books from the TV novelization episode books, I did Welcome to Camp Nightmare, I did Ghost Beach. As much as I love Ghost Beach and Welcome to Camp Nightmare in a lot of different ways, this was a lot more refreshing than those. This is dark like how Welcome to Camp Nightmare's original novel is, but that novelization wasn't like that. Same thing with Ghost Beach. Wasn't as dark as the original novel. So I like when I can go back and read some Series 2000, break up a lot of the kind of lighthearted comedy stories like How I Learned to Fly and whatever, to get something darker like this. And it's not always dark, that's the thing. It's kind of got its moments where it's a darker thing. And that's what I like about Series 2000. We kind of went on this more edgy style of Goosebumps, and sometimes Slappy World tries to pick this up. Sometimes Most Wanted tried to pick this up. Horrorland had its moments early on, not so much later on, but still. It's kind of sad that we don't have more edgy Goosebumps stuff like this, but I get why people didn't love it. It seems to me they didn't love it as much in hindsight. However, I find it very refreshing is what I'm trying to make the point of. Anyway, Goosebumps Series 2000, number 7, Revenge Are Us. Great cover, very disappointing read. Very bummed out by that. I'm very sad to say that to you guys. I was hoping this could be a really surprisingly good review, but I had heard mixed things over the years, and now I understand why. Anyway, what do you think about Goosebumps Series 2000, Revenge Are Us? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Put your thoughts and comments down below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this book if you haven't read it before. If I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I would probably give Revenge Are Us about a 3 out of 5 stars. I don't think I dislike it enough to give it a 2 out of 5. I don't really even dislike it, like I said. I think it's just fine. It's fine. It's not really even funny or anything, it's just okay. So if you're expecting humor for this book, you're not really going to get that. Again, it's more of a darker type of thing. Imagine Be Careful What You Wish For, but less silly. This is silly, but less silly than Be Careful What You Wish For, which is almost the exact same type of style book in storytelling or in concept. Anyway, what are your thoughts once again? Put them down below. Thank you for watching, guys. God bless you, and goodbye.